have another piece of crap Chinese made garbage. This one was sold by a company called Enjoy Gadgets, and what this device is, this one's an HDMI to Componet and audio. What this device promised to do was to allow me to take an HDMI signal and break it out into Componet. And where would you use something like that? Well, for example, if you've got a television that does not have an HDMI input, but it does have components like one of the older HD televisions, this would be perfect for that. And it does do what they say it does. It does give you component output, and you can also select VGA as well, although mine seems to be doing some weird things right now. But I want to show you something. I mean, it does give you component output, but the picture it gives you is less than desirable, and there is a fix for it. I'll show you what to do on this thing. And of course, here's the problem. Look at the picture. Oh, besides the fact that it just cut out, that I believe is my HDMI cable. That's not a very good one. But the picture has a green cast over everything. It is just atrocious. Everything has a green cast to it. If I stop it, you see, even with this is supposed to be the insignia logo is supposed to be kind of a cyan color. This thing's got a green cast. There is a fix for it on the unit itself. You don't see any adjustments on this thing, but if we open it up, there actually is an adjustment, and we can improve on this picture. So just by removing a few screws, we can lift the cover off, and that way we can look at the fine quality of this Chinese-made wonder. There's not much to this thing. It's basically a single chip solution. We'll zoom the camera in here so you can see what it looks like. And there you go. We've got our power input. We've got our HDMI input here. Our component outputs, VGA out, digital audio and analog audio, and basically everything is all done on this one chip. But one thing I noticed that this is our switch that selects between component output and RGB, which of course would feed the RGB output that would go to a computer monitor. But there's this little button on the front here, and I wondered what happened when I pressed the button, and I'll show you what happens to the screen when I press the button. It was quite amazing because there is no access hole or anything. I just found this by accident when I took it apart and wanted to see what it did. And I found this switch, and you'll see what it does. So as I depress the switch, you will notice the color changes. And we're back to there. So that's the first setting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 11 settings basically. And you can see what this control does. Okay, so the picture's predominantly green. I've got 10 settings that I can change here. And once it starts playing, I'll start switching it here so you can see what it does. Okay, so that's how it came out of the box. It looked just awful. Right? So at least it makes it a little bit more watchable. It's still a little bit on the green side, but at least the color balance is a little more reasonable. It's still god awful, but not as bad as it was when it was like that. But you know, it's better than it was. The device has come in handy. Again, it's more for someone who doesn't have an HDMI input. It does work good if you want to make a recording off, say, a Hopodge HD PVR. And in that case, I can actually fix the color because I can adjust it on the computer and adjust the color balance so I can make it even a little better. It's one of these devices that allows you to do things like record from Netflix in HD if you have a component capture device on your computer, because this thing doesn't care whether there's HDCP copy protection on your signal at all. It ignores it, and it gives you clean component output. So as you can see by comparison, if I put it on my Hauppauge HD PVR, and oops, I just set my I just went back to default, but I can go into my device settings and I can correct the color, bring the color to normal. I can now record this on my computer as an MP4 file or an H2TS or any format I want. It'll decode it in 720 progressive, so it's better than recording into standard definition by far, and gives you that ability that if you want to record, say, from Netflix from any of these devices that only have an HDMI output, this will at least allow you to break it out into component if you're into recording stuff like that. But there it is, the Enjoy Gadgets. It's a HDMI in, component out, or VGA out. And they're not that expensive. I think I paid maybe $30 for this thing. And for what it costs, it gets the job done. It lets me record some stuff that I wouldn't normally be able to record. And that's the purpose of the unit. And it also, I can use it with a computer monitor. So I've got some older monitors that only have RGB input, and it allowed me to use those for displaying HDMI. So neat little device, but out of the box it was just atrocious. So I just wanted to display the picture quality. This is plugged into an RGB monitor, and the picture is far better on the RGB input than it is on the component output. So keeping in mind that our level's only really out on the component output, my engineer's mind kicks in. Your color balance on component signals, a relationship between the Y signal and the blue and the red. It's Y minus blue, Y minus red. The green connector is always just your luminance, and you got your Y minus the blue, Y minus the red. So I started experimenting with values of resistors. And as you can see, when I put a 160 ohm resistor between the green and the blue output, it more or less balances off my color. You see the difference there, right? So now I've got the color looking pretty normal. So I'm going to go and put that resistor in, and I'll show you where I put that resistor. I've just got some jumpers on here right now, but basically I've just jumpered it between the green and the blue, and when I put my resistor in line, I change my color. So I'm going to go and add that, solder that in permanently on here, and that should fix my problem on this thing and make it look half decent. So there you have it. I've just put a 150, I think it's 150 or 160. Can't see it without my glasses from this distance. 150 ohm resistor, I believe it was, I put in there. And I chose that value just by trying various values. I tried 100 ohms, 120, 150, 180, 220. I tried different values, and I found that this one here gave me what looked to be the most natural color. And as you can see now, here is the component output, and our flesh tone now looks normal. If I stop the unit from playing, it will now go back to my main screen here, and as you'll see, that is more what the real color looks like, as opposed to how you saw it before, where the picture was all washed over and green. And just for reference, that's what it looks like plugged in to HDMI. So that's how you fix one of these Enjoy Gadgets, and it's probably sold under different brands, but these HDMI to component output, this one's actually distributed by a local company out of Burnaby, Enjoy Gadgets, and I contacted them about this because I had purchased one of their other devices, one similar to this one, that was a HDMI to composite, and it didn't work. And I bought the both at the same time, and I sent the other one back and ended up with the other device that I showed you in the other video that's like this, but didn't require reworking. Anyway, he had told me that he had a number of these things come back, and I actually told him about this switch to adjust the color balance, and he told me he had a number of them come back because the color wasn't very good. And I told him about this little switch. So, you know, that improves it. It doesn't fix it properly, and now with this resistor here, we've got the color balance looking pretty darn close to what it should be. Hope you enjoyed this one. We'll catch you later.